The way it ended never started with a scream. It started with a laugh. It was a Thursday night, one of those flat, gray evenings where the city feels like it is holding its breath. Rain slid down the living room window in thin, tired streaks, and the TV washed the room in bluish light. She was on the couch, legs tucked under a blanket, phone in her hand, her thumb moving in small, secret circles over the screen. Her name is Lena. We had been married for 6 years. 6 years of shared coffee mugs, shared rent, shared passwords, shared jokes that no one else would understand. Lately, though, it felt like I was sharing her with a ghost. Dinners had become quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't rest. She would sit across from me at our little dining table, pushing pasta around her plate, her phone flipped face down but close enough to touch. I used to talk about work, about the clients, about the project that wouldn't end. She used to listen. Now her eyes drifted past my face, to some invisible point behind me, as if someone else were standing there. "You okay?" I asked one night as she stared at the untouched food between us. She blinked, then forced a smile that landed somewhere near me but not on me. "Yeah, just tired." Tired became the word for everything. Tired meant she went to bed before me. Tired meant she turned away when I reached for her. Tired meant she locked her phone with a new passcode and said, "Work stuff, confidential." I wanted to believe her. You have to understand that. When you love someone, denial feels like loyalty. Then came the laugh. That Thursday, I was at the dining table finishing up some emails, laptop open, half-warm coffee beside me. The rain tapped the balcony glass in a restless rhythm. From the couch, I heard a sharp little giggle, not the usual polite chuckle she gave coworkers. It was bright, young, like she was suddenly 22 again. "Wow, someone's in a good mood," I called out. She didn't answer right away. Another soft laugh slipped out of her, and she covered her mouth as if she was trying to stuff it back in. Her shoulders shook. The phone glowed against her face, painting her eyes with something I hadn't seen in months. I watched her, really watched her. "Lena," I said, quieter now, "what's so funny?" She snapped back like she had forgotten I existed for a second. "Oh, nothing." She locked her phone, turned its screen down, but the smile stayed on her lips like it was refusing to leave. "Must be something," I said. She hesitated, then shrugged in that half-playful way she used to when we were dating. "Just something stupid. I have a secret admirer at the office." She said it lightly, like a joke. She even rolled her eyes for effect, but the word secret stuck to the air. Admirer curled around my ribs. "A secret admirer," I repeated. My voice sounded wrong in my own ears. "Yeah, this guy keeps leaving dumb notes on my desk. It's like high school." She laughed again, but there was a small excitement in it this time, something that wasn't meant for me. "Who is he?" I tried to sound casual. I failed. She waved a hand. "It's nothing. Some IT guy, I think. He's just bored." And then she said the line that cracked something in me. "Honestly, it's kind of flattering." The word flattering echoed in my head. She didn't say annoying. She didn't say creepy. She said flattering. I stared at her for a second too long, trying to decide if I was being crazy, trying to decide if I was reading too much into it. She felt my eyes and shifted under the blanket, pulling it tighter around her body, like she needed to hide from something. "You mad?" she asked. "No," I lied. "Just weird that you're laughing about some guy leaving you notes." She looked away. "He's harmless, okay? Relax, trust me." Trust me, it used to be the easiest thing in the world. That night, in bed, I lay beside her listening to the sound of distant traffic through the partially open window. The city hummed while her breathing evened out. She turned her back to me, phone plugged in on her side of the bed, face down on the nightstand. The glow of the screen pulsed once, then again. She didn't move, but her fingers twitched like her body wanted to reach for it. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the soft glow of that same phone. Her side of the bed was empty. The bathroom door was slightly ajar, light spilling out in a thin line across the hallway floor. I heard the low murmur of her voice. "I can't, he's asleep," she whispered. A pause, a soft, breathy laugh. "Stop, you're ridiculous." I froze in the dark, the kind of stillness where even blinking feels too loud. Part of me wanted to get up, to push the door open, to end the question right then. Another part of me stayed pinned to the mattress, heart pounding, because the truth was suddenly scarier than the lie. The next morning, she hummed softly while making coffee, hair tied up, moving around the kitchen like nothing had happened. The smell of coffee should have been comforting. Instead, it made my stomach twist. "Rough night?" she asked, sliding a mug toward me. "Yeah, couldn't sleep," I answered. I watched her hands, no shaking, no guilt, just calm. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at it, then at me, and in that tiny hesitation, that fraction of a second, something clicked. "You can check it, you know," I said, "if it's work." She wiped her hands on a towel. "Nah." It can wait. She turned the phone over, hiding the screen from both of us. This time, she didn't see the second notification that flashed briefly before the display went dark again. I did. Can't stop thinking about you. Last night was perfect. The words vanished as quickly as they appeared, but once you see something like that, you cannot unsee it. Later, when she left for work, umbrella in one hand, tote bag in the other, she kissed my cheek like always. A practiced, automatic gesture. Her lips were warm, her eyes were somewhere else. "Don't work too late," she said. The door clicked shut. The apartment swallowed the sound. There was only the hum of the fridge, the ticking of the clock, and the echo of that notification in my head. I stood there in the hallway for a long time, staring at the door she had just walked through, feeling the shape of a decision I wasn't ready to make forming in the silence. With me alone in our quiet apartment, her laughter still hanging in the air, and the words, "Last night was perfect," burning behind my eyes like a secret I hadn't chosen to hear. The first night after that notification, I didn't confront her. Cowards don't always hide. Sometimes they just watch. I started noticing things. Her late nights at the office multiplied. Client calls ran long, she'd say, dropping her keys in the bowl near the door. Her lipstick would still be fresh. Her perfume, stronger than when she left in the morning. Our dinners went from cooked to ordered to, "I already ate, I'm not that hungry." The empty chair opposite me at the table became its own kind of presence. I would plate 2 portions out of habit, then scrape one back into the pan when I realized she wasn't coming home yet. The bed felt bigger, too big. She would roll to the far edge, phone clutched in her hand, screen brightness lowered, thumbs moving in tiny, secret motions under the covers. One night I woke up just enough to see the reflection of her screen in the closet mirror. There it was, his name, Ethan. That was the first time I saw it, a small white line against a dark bubble, like a cut across the screen. The name might as well have been a stranger's face pressed against the glass of our life, staring in. "Can't stop thinking about your laugh," the message read before she tapped it away. Her fingers trembled slightly as she typed a response, then stopped, then erased, then typed again. Guilt has a rhythm. You can hear it in the way someone breathes. The next day, she forgot her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered before work. That had never happened before, not once in 6 years. I don't know if she truly forgot it or if some small part of her wanted to be caught. Either way, it was there, face up, unlocked. My hand hovered above it. I told myself I wouldn't do it, that I would be better than that snooping would make me the bad guy. Then it lit up. Morning beautiful. "Same spot tonight." The coffee machine whirred behind me, grinding beans into something warm and familiar, while that message cut through my chest like glass. I picked up the phone. Their thread was pinned at the top. Ethan with a little star next to his name. Not IT guy. Not client. Just Ethan. I scrolled. Not far, just far enough. Photos of their lunches. Her smiling in a way she hadn't smiled with me in months. Inside, jokes about coworkers, complaints about how distant I'd become, wrapped in laughing emojis, and then messages that left no room for doubt. "Last night was dangerous," he had written. "Maybe we should slow down." Her reply, "Do you want to?" And then a selfie of her in an elevator, lips slightly parted, eyes bright, captioned, "Secret admirer energy." I put the phone down very carefully, like it was something that might explode if I held it too tightly. The shower turned off, water stopped, footsteps on the mat, the door handle moved. I stepped away from the counter as if distance could erase what I'd seen. She walked out wrapped in a towel, skin still damp, hair twisted up. She saw the phone, saw me, and for a split second her eyes flicked between us with a flash of panic. Then she smiled. "You're up early," she said. "Yeah." My voice sounded like something dragged across gravel. "Big day." She picked up her phone, checked the screen with a quick, sharp glance, then tilted her head, assessing me. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I lied. The lie felt heavy in my mouth. For the next few days, I didn't mention Ethan. Instead, I became a ghost in my own home. I watched which nights she wore her, just-in-case perfume, which nights she chose the black blouse instead of the faded office sweater, which nights she took an extra few minutes with eyeliner in the mirror, her hand steady, her expression focused. Those nights, she always worked late. I started sleeping on the couch, claiming I didn't want to keep her up with my tossing and turning. The truth was I couldn't bear lying next to her while her phone lit up with the life she hadn't chosen to live with me. In the cracks between those nights, something in me hardened. Not anger, not yet, just a cold, clean clarity. If she was going to treat me like I was stupid, I would use that. If she thought I was still the trusting, oblivious husband, that was my advantage. I began to collect things: bank statements, rideshare receipts, calendar entries she thought she'd deleted, but which remained in synced apps on our shared laptop. Tuesday, client dinner, 8 p.m. in her phone. Same Tuesday, rideshare to the Lantern, a small hotel on the edge of the city, at 7:42 p.m., return at 11:56 p.m. Friday, team drinks in her messages. Same Friday, credit card charge for a room at the Lantern, 2 guests. The Lantern became more than a location, it became proof. I didn't rage, I didn't call friends, I didn't drink myself numb. Instead, I sat at our dining table at night, the empty chair across from me glowing in the dim kitchen light, and I started planning. If she was going to humiliate me in secret, my revenge would be patient, thorough, and quiet. The kind of revenge that doesn't explode. It erodes. Step 1 was simple: secure myself. I met with a lawyer during my lunch breaks in a small office that smelled like dust and old files. We talked about separation, about documenting everything before confronting her, about not giving her the chance to spin the story. "You look calm," the lawyer said. "I'm not," I replied. "I'm just done pretending I don't know." At home, I was sweeter than usual, more affectionate, more attentive. I cooked, I asked about her day, I kissed her forehead when she came in late. If the guilt was eating her, I was going to feed it. Sometimes, when she laughed at her phone, I would lean over and say, "Tell your secret admirer I said hi," with a smile that almost looked real. Her face would freeze for a heartbeat before she rolled her eyes and said, "You're so dramatic." Every time she believed I was joking. Every time she chose the safer story. The turning point came on a night when the rain hit the windows so hard it drowned out the TV. She said she had to go back to the office because she'd forgotten some files. No umbrella. Just her coat, her phone, and a rush in her voice that betrayed her. "All this in this weather?" I asked. "It's important," she said, avoiding my eyes. I nodded. "Okay, be careful." The door closed. 5 minutes later, I was in my car, engine humming, wipers fighting the storm. I didn't follow her to her office. I followed the route to the Lantern, a path I knew now by numbers and statements, even though I had never driven it before. The hotel's sign glowed a soft, sickly yellow through the rain. I parked across the street, hands gripping the steering wheel, watching. At 8:07 p.m. I saw her. She stepped out of a rideshare, coat pulled tight, head down. She ran under the awning, shook the rain from her hair, then looked up and smiled. Not at me, at him. Ethan was already there, leaning by the glass doors, phone in his hand. Tall, dark coat, the kind of smile that knows its impact. He opened the door for her. She touched his arm as she walked past, a small, familiar gesture, one I hadn't felt in months. I stayed in the car and watched them disappear inside. In that moment, she wasn't my wife. She was a stranger with my last name, walking into a life I had never been invited to. I could have stormed in. I could have started shouting. I could have swung my fists and given security a story to tell. Instead, I sat very still and let the idea of something colder settle in my chest. Revenge didn't have to be loud. It just had to be final. I stayed until my windshield fogged with my own breath, until my fingers stopped shaking. Then I drove home, alone, to our quiet apartment, where her shoes still sat by the door like she had never left, with the image of them walking into that hotel burned into me, and the first clear outline of what I was going to do forming quietly in the dark. The day everything snapped into place started like any other, with morning light bleeding faintly through the blinds and the smell of coffee filling the kitchen. But the silence between us had a different weight. By then, I had done my homework. I had moved half our savings into an account in my name only, with the lawyer's blessing. I had copied the hotel receipts, the messages, the ride logs. I had prepared the documents for separation, ready but unsigned. All that was left was the moment. Ironically, she chose it for me. It was a Sunday, no work, no excuses. She sat on the couch in a faded sweatshirt, bare legs folded under her, phone in hand, scrolling. The TV was on, volume low, some crime show playing to an audience of none. "Hey," she said suddenly, "can we talk?" Those words from her used to mean something else. Now they sounded like a warning siren. "Sure," I said, sitting in the armchair opposite her instead of beside her. The distance was intentional. She noticed it. Her eyes flicked to the empty space between us, then back to my face. "I feel like you've been different," she began. "Colder, distant, like you're somewhere else even when you're here." The irony would have been funny if it didn't hurt so much. "I've been here," I said. "That's kind of the problem." She frowned. "Is this about work? Is it about us?" "I don't know what you're thinking anymore. You barely touch me. You barely talk." "I know about Ethan," I said quietly. The words landed between us like a glass falling off a table. Her mouth stayed open mid-sentence. Her eyes widened, then narrowed, then flicked away, as if looking at anything else might make reality take a step back. What?" she whispered. "I know," I repeated. "About the texts, the hotel. The secret admirer, the late nights, the ride receipts, all of it." Color drained from her face so fast it was almost visible. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the couch cushion with a soft thud. How long?" she asked. "Long enough." The rain had stopped, but the sky outside was still heavy, the light in the room a muted gray that made everything look softer. She swallowed hard, her fingers tangled in the hem of her sweatshirt, twisting the fabric. It wasn't, it didn't mean. "Don't," I said. The word came out sharper than I intended. "For once, please, don't insult me by pretending it was nothing." She shut her mouth, her eyes shimmered but no tears fell. Yet. A long, thin silence stretched. "Okay," she finally said, voice barely audible. "Okay, you know." She sank back into the couch like someone had taken the bones out of her. "I'm sorry," she whispered. The apology hovered there, small and fragile. "What are you sorry for?" I asked. It wasn't a trap. I genuinely needed to hear her say it. She winced at the question. For letting it get this far, for hurting you, for lying. For her throat closed up, words choking. For not ending it when I knew I should. "So you admit there wasn't it?" She nodded, eyes wet. "Yes." "Why?" I asked. She took a long breath, then another, like she was bracing against a wave. "I was lonely," she said. It sounded pathetic even to her. "I know how that sounds, but you were always at work, always tired, always stressed. We stopped talking. We stopped everything. I felt invisible." "So you made yourself visible to someone else," I said. She flinched. "It wasn't like that at first. It was just attention, harmless flirting. He'd leave those stupid notes on my desk, call himself my secret admirer." I laughed it off, at least I told myself I did. "And then?" "And then it felt good," she whispered. "He listened, he noticed small things, asked about my day, my feelings. You used to do that, then you stopped." Her words were a knife, but the worst part was that some of it was true. "I didn't stop," I said quietly. "You just stopped hearing me." She stared at me, breathing shallow. "How many times?" I asked. She closed her eyes. "Does it matter?" "Yes." She hesitated. "4 times, at the hotel. Lunch is more." The number landed like a punch, even though I had already guessed. There was something about hearing it aloud, about giving it a count, that made the infidelity feel like a body lying on the floor instead of a shadow in the corner. "I was going to end it," she said quickly. "I swear. I told him it wasn't fair to you, that I couldn't keep lying, that I had to fix my marriage. I was trying to find the right moment to tell you, to be honest, but I was a coward." Her voice cracked on the last word. I believed her, that was the worst part. I believed she had considered ending it. I believed she had felt guilty. I also believed that none of that erased the nights at the Lantern or the messages that said, "Last night was perfect." "What do you want?" I asked. She stared at me, confused. "What?" "From me, from this, from us. What do you want, Lena?" The question seemed to knock the air out of her. I want you," she said, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I want my husband, our life. I made a mistake, a huge, unforgivable mistake, but I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose what we built." Her voice broke, and now the tears finally came. "I still love you," she whispered. The old me would have broken at that, would have rushed to her, would have pulled her into my arms and tried to fix everything with forgiveness and desperation. The version of me sitting in that armchair didn't move. "I loved you enough not to do what you did," I said. "I loved you enough to be lonely with you instead of with someone else." She pressed her hands to her face, shoulders shaking. "I'll cut him off," she said. "Right now, I'll block him. I'll change jobs if I have to. I'll go to therapy, couples counseling, anything. Just don't let this be the end, please." Her phone buzzed between us on the couch, as if summoned by her guilt. We both stared at it. She didn't pick it up. "Is that him?" I asked. She nodded without looking. "Then this is where it starts," I said. I stood up, walked over, and picked up her phone. The screen lit up with a message preview. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night felt like a dream." I turned the phone around so she could see her reality in plain text. "Read that," I said. "Really read it, and then tell me you were about to end it." Her face crumpled. She reached for the phone like it was a lifeline, hands shaking. "I'll end it," she whispered. "Right now, just please, give me a chance to fix this." I handed her the phone. She unlocked it with a trembling thumb, opened the thread, and began typing. "This is over. Don't contact me again." Then she blocked his number, deleted the thread, and set the phone down, as if those taps and swipes could undo what had already been done. She looked up at me, eyes red, breathing ragged. "There," she said, "it's done." "No," I said softly, "it's not." Because while she had been erasing messages, I had been building something she didn't know about. I walked to the bedroom, opened the drawer where I'd kept the folder, and came back with it in my hand. Her eyes widened when she saw the stack of papers. "What is that?" she asked. Reality, I said, placing it on the coffee table and opening it. Bank statements, hotel receipts, printouts of message logs, the separation paperwork. Her hand flew to her mouth. You already. She couldn't finish the sentence. You weren't the only one planning something, I said. She stared at the documents like they might bite. Is this divorce? Her voice broke around the word. It can be, I said. It doesn't have to be, not yet. But I needed to know that if you kept lying, if you kept choosing him, I could walk away without you taking everything we built and twisting it. So this is your revenge, she whispered. Throwing away our marriage. I shook my head. No, this is protection. My revenge, I paused, feeling the words settle. My revenge is making sure you feel the full weight of what you chose, not just a fight. Not just a tearful apology you can cry your way through, something you can't scroll past. The room felt smaller, the walls closer. What do you want me to do? She asked, broken. I'll do anything. In that living room, heavy with documents and rain-dimmed light, with her finally asking what she should do, and me holding a decision that would hurt us both no matter which way it fell. In the end, revenge didn't look like shouting or exposed affairs or blowing up her life in public. It looked like a morning, a quiet one. Weeks passed after that conversation. We didn't decide everything that day. Instead, we moved through the apartment like two people walking through a museum of a life they used to live. She slept in the bedroom. I stayed on the couch. We talked logistics. Bills, who would take which side of the closet, when she would go stay with her sister for a while. In between the practical decisions, there were small, raw moments. One night, she left an apology letter on the dining table, handwritten. Pages of ink where she tried to untangle the mess inside her. The loneliness, the boredom, the way she felt herself disappearing in the routine of our life. I read it once, then I folded it and put it back in the envelope. Another night, I heard her on the phone in the bedroom, telling her mother, no, it was my fault, and then crying in a way I had never heard before. It wasn't defensive. It wasn't dramatic. It was just human. Revenge, I realized, wasn't a single moment. It was a long, low ache that you both have to walk through. Still, there were choices I made that were deliberate. I sent her a copy of the evidence I'd collected and a short, calm email. For the record, so there's no rewriting later. This is what happened. No threats, no insults, just documentation. I met with Ethan once, not at his office, not at the hotel. At a cafe near his building, on a weekday morning when people were rushing to work with cups of coffee and headphones in. He arrived looking wary, defensive. He recognized me immediately. I saw it in the way his shoulders tensed, in the way his eyes darted toward the exit. You didn't have to come, I said, but you did, so sit. He sat. I'm not here to scream at you, I told him. I'm not here to hit you. I'm here to tell you this once, face to face. You don't exist in my story anymore. He frowned, confused. You thought you were the main character for a while, didn't you? I said. The secret admirer, the one who woke her up. The one she risked everything for. But when this is over, I want you to understand something very clearly. You were just a symptom, not the cause, not the cure. He shifted in his seat. Look, man, Don't apologize to me, I cut in. You knew what you were doing. So did she. You both made your choices. I'm making mine. I've documented everything. I've protected myself financially. I've given her the option to walk away from you or walk away from our marriage. That part is between us now, not you. He swallowed, jaw tight. So what do you want from me? He asked. Nothing, I said. That's the point. I want nothing from you. No guilt, no explanations, no closure. You're not important enough for that. I left him there, sitting with his untouched coffee, staring after me. If that was revenge, it wasn't the fire-breathing kind. It was the kind where you take back the narrative and refuse to let the other man be the villain he fantasized about being. The bigger revenge, if it could be called that, came quietly at home. One morning, Lena stood in the kitchen in an oversized sweater, hair messy, eyes swollen from another night of bad sleep. The sky outside was pale, soft morning light spilling in, not harsh, not angry. She had her suitcase by the door. This feels wrong, she said, voice thin, leaving like this, like I'm just walking out of my own life. You walked out long before today, I said, but there was no venom in it, just tired truth. She nodded, tears collecting again. I know. We stood there for a moment, the smell of coffee between us, the hum of the fridge, the distant sound of traffic 8 floors down. I talked to the lawyer, I said. I'm not going to drag this out. No smear campaigns, no ugly fights. You get what's fair, no more, no less. She looked up surprised. Why? She asked. You could destroy me. You have everything. The proof, the story, the moral high ground. You could make everyone hate me. I thought about it, I admitted. I imagined the satisfaction of everyone knowing what you did, watching you scramble to defend yourself, seeing him squirm under the weight of it all. And, she whispered, and then I realized that would tie me to this forever, I said. I'd become the man whose whole personality is being the guy with the cheating wife. I'd rather be the man who walked away. A tear slipped down her cheek. That's your revenge, she said softly, letting me sit with what I did without giving me a villain to blame. Maybe, I said, or maybe it's just self-respect. She took a shaky breath. I'm sorry, she said again, if I could go back. You can't, I said, neither can I. All we can do is decide who we want to be from here. She nodded slowly. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? She asked. I thought about the hotel, the texts, the laughter over her secret admirer, the way she said it was flattering. I thought about the nights on the couch, listening to her breathing through the bedroom wall. I think forgiveness is possible, I said, someday, but forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. It doesn't mean pretending this never happened. It just means I don't want to carry you like a wound for the rest of my life. Her shoulders shook. She stepped closer, stopping a few feet away, as if there was an invisible line on the kitchen floor she wasn't allowed to cross. Can I hug you goodbye? She asked. The question hung there, heavy and fragile. I hesitated, not because I hated her, but because I knew this was the moment that would define how I remembered us. I nodded once. She stepped into my arms slowly, like she was afraid I might change my mind. Her body was familiar, the shape of her fitting against me in all the ways it always had. She smelled like the shampoo I knew, the one we always bought on sale. She sobbed quietly against my shoulder. No big theatrics, just small, broken breaths. I loved you, she whispered. I still do. I know, I said. And that's what makes this so hard. We stayed like that for a few seconds that felt longer. Then I let go first. She stepped back, wiping her face. Goodbye, she said. Goodbye, Lena. She picked up her suitcase, opened the door, and paused. I hope you find someone who never laughs about a secret admirer, she said, voice trembling. Someone who doesn't need to be seen by anyone else to remember you're enough. She closed the door behind her. The apartment was suddenly completely quiet. No footsteps, no humming, no second toothbrush. I walked to the window. The morning light had brightened, soft and clean, washing the buildings in a pale glow. Cars moved below. People rushed to wherever they had to be, unaware that a marriage had just quietly ended 8 floors above them. The empty chair at the dining table was just a chair again. The couch was just a place to sit, not a temporary bed. Her mug beside the sink would need to be moved, her clothes packed away, her imprint on this space gradually erased. But her imprint on me, that would take longer. I made a fresh cup of coffee, not out of habit, but as a small act of claiming the morning. Steam rose in thin spirals, dissolving into the forgiveness I realized wouldn't arrive all at once. It would come in tiny moments, choosing not to check her social media, choosing not to reread old photos, choosing not to replay every scene and look for the frame where it all went wrong. My revenge had already happened. Not in the documents or the confrontation or the quiet dismissal of the other man. It was in the way she left, fully aware of what she'd broken, with no one to blame but herself. What remained for me was something else, letting go. I stood there, mug in hand, watching the morning light crawl slowly across the floor, and for the first time in a long time, the silence in the apartment didn't feel like punishment. It felt like a beginning. With the soft hum of the city outside, and a man who has finally decided that his life is bigger than the moment it broke. Hum of the city outside, and a man who has finally decided that his life is bigger than the moment it broke.